what is this product? Now what's funny is that they are like, can you make more of this kind of product? And I'm like, let me think about it.
Hello, welcome to Chew on This, a food talk show with Malaysia's top culinary talents, exploring the many influences our palate has on our personality through food, drink, and banter. I'm Tian, I'll be your host into this world of good eats and gastronomy. On today's episode, I'm happy to welcome the head barista and co-founder of Zeus Coffee, Terence Ho. Terence has been the head barista with Zeus since the very beginning, and is one of the best baristas in the country, ranking top 7 and then 5 in the Malaysian Brewers Cup in 2022 and 2023. I'm sure Zeus Coffee needs little introduction. It's the iconic blue and white coffee chain that has taken Malaysia by storm since its beginning in 2019. Today, the brand operates over 600 outlets and has sold over 78 million cups of coffee and continues to innovate with in-store merchandise and now a line of original canned coffee drinks. So Terence, tell us a little bit about how your love of coffee began.
Well, because now I'm in Zus Coffee. All right. So I actually started my career in, for those of you who know, an international coffee chain.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So that's really where I started. And being that environment where service is something that has really piqued my interest. I like meeting new people. So being brought up in that environment, I think coffee is just a product, but that environment that F&B creates, allowing you to meet new people, interact with new faces, that was really what I fell in love with first. And it just so happened that coffee is the product that enabled me to do it. Over time, coffee just seems to be the most optimum choice, because if bars, for example, are places that you go at night, then during the day, it will be coffee houses.
Right, of course.
An area to socialize. So that is really the key driver of what really brought me to coffee.
I see, okay. So did you study anything related to coffee, or when you graduate, did you just kind of gravitate into coffee as an industry?
So this is very interesting. I think because precisely why coffee houses are places of gathering. During my late teen years, me and a couple of friends, that would be our go-to spots. Yeah. We were kind of jumping around. That was really like the peak of when cafes were blooming.
Oh, cafe culture, right?
Yeah, the first time where the first bunch of students coming back from Australia and whatnot. And you see a lot of cafes start popping up. Me and a bunch of friends, we were just hopping around, trying the different coffees. And there was this one particular brand from Korea. We frequented that place quite often. While I was doing my degree, I needed that extra bit of cash. I'm going to work part-time. And this place suited my option. So I was studying full-time. I was also working full-time. Okay. It just so happened that this particular brand opened till 2 a.m., which fit my education model. Model. Correct. I would end class at about 5 p.m. and then after that straight into the cafe to work. So
until 2 a.m.
Until 2 a.m. It was a tough period, but looking back at it, I'm glad I went
I'm sure.
that.
It all worked out now. Okay, so you know your love of coffee, and since you're a barista, does that make you the automatic designated barista at home, coffee maker?
I could say that. I wish there could be other people that could do it, but let's just say I depend on myself for my own coffee. It has to be. It's like a chef, right? Yeah. If you know you can cook it better, unless it's intentional to say, hey, you're cooking something completely different, then yes, please, by all means. But if you're making something with my ingredients, with my tools, let me do it.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So can you share your key milestones as the head barista of a thriving national coffee chain? What's that like?
One of the biggest milestones is honestly creating a drink that is widely accepted. Not a stranger is that our coffee, one of the best-selling coffee, is the iced Spanish latte.
Okay.
Yeah, but to understand that product, if you Google this particular product, they will give you very straightforward answers to what a Spanish latte is. For those of you who don't know, it's as simple as adding sweetened milk to your coffee.
Okay.
Which is something that we have been doing for ages in Hainan coffee
Right,
culture.
right,
Correct?
yeah,
Correct?
yeah, yeah.
But to be able to maintain that fine balance between the Western side of how they make coffee and then subsequently incorporating it into the ingredients that is available here in Malaysia and finding something that can combine them both whilst allowing Malaysians to have a form of nostalgia, but also a form of improvement towards local kopitiams.
Right, right.
I would say that really is what the Spanish lattes story is. I think that would be one of our biggest milestones. Till today, it's one of our best-selling beverage. And to be honest, even as the creator of that beverage, I didn't believe it would fly.
Really? Why not?
Because I felt that it was too close to what local kopitiams are serving
I see.
or local coffee shops are serving. And I felt that it was just, maybe it's just another option,
Right, right.
something that is more relatable. But seeing how Malaysians have responded to that, I am very, it really warmed my heart in a bit. And
It was like a sneaky surprise as well.
Yeah, it is. It was pretty funny because my partners were telling me, "Hey, Terrence, I noticed something." And then, what is this product? What is this product? I'm like, "Oh, this is the one I made. I let you try it. It's not too special. It is what it is." And then they're like, it's sticking up and it's growing because there was no form of extra advertisement, not too much marketing done, and it was flying. And then we were like, now what's funny is that they are like, can you make more of this kind of product? And I'm like, oh, let me think about it.
No pressure. Just create. Every drink must be a multi-hit,
Yeah, that has also in a way become one of the defining characters of Zeus Coffee, where we aim to have localization as part of our identity in the products that we make.
What were some of the challenges you faced as the head barista, and how did this overcoming these challenges add to your professional and personal growth?
I think for one of the most valuable things I've learned running a retail chain is, and this is definitely something that I hope more cafes out there can learn as well, is to really understand in depth how the workflow of a cafe is. This is very interesting. So when we first started, because I came from a one cafe kind of background, it did not matter where we placed, for example, where we placed the cashier, where we placed the chiller, or where we placed the coffee machine.
Interesting.
It just had to look good.
Oh.
Correct. I think in many of the cafes that one-store cafe kind of places, you would see that they look amazing. Aesthetic.
Right.
But one thing we learned after replicating many outlets is that every step has to be counted. Every step.
As in like physical step in the store.
Every physical step. Correct. So if your barista is taking an extra 2 steps, that is time.
Yeah, you're right.
Correct. And then the position of the machines, and also how the drinks are being made, which steps comes first.
Right.
Yes, these are all very, very important things that people don't normally see or take into account for. How, if let's say you're taking the order, I'm going to be making your drink.
Yeah.
Who's going to send the drink?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Correct. So every single step along that way, how much time are we able to save? How fast can we make it? And how consistent or easy can it be? That is, until now, an ongoing challenge. But I think we are possibly in Malaysia very way ahead of a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean,
in terms of these studies, yes. You know what's funny? I think in a business model such as Zeus, the goal is always to make it simple. So the simpler it is, there are more background work that is done.
For sure.
Yeah. I guess that's the beauty of what we're doing. If it seems simple on the outside, yes.
Thanks for sharing. I'm sure a lot of people like myself would like to know what a day in the life of a coffee chain executive looks like. Can you share a little bit about how your day-to-day looks like?
On a day, I think at this point right now, I'm trying to cut down my coffee. But cutting down is also 5 cups a day. Yeah, that's cut down. That's like minimum. When it comes to actual tasting of coffee, evaluating coffee, these numbers can surge from a minimum of 20 cups all the way up to 50 cups a day.
But it just sips, right?
Yeah, it's just sips, but it adds up.
Yeah.
It adds up. That it's really a lot of what I'm doing. Also, beyond coffee is also because Zeus is not just known for its coffee, right? We are also known for all the beverages that we're doing. So on a daily basis, beyond the coffee, how does the coffee interact with this particular milk? Or how does this coffee interact with this particular flavor or sauce? So you would have to then taste all the variations of it as well. Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing a little bit, how many steps or processes does it take for a drink to go from conception to in-store? What's that like?
Like I say, we prize ourselves on simplifying steps. So probably, last I recall, maybe about 6 steps.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not too hard, but there are very intricate processes in between, very strict metrics that we follow. But just take this insight. I think this is like one of those industry secrets that people don't normally talk about.
Okay.
But there is no harm sharing this. For us to work on our product that we're going to launch, it takes at least 6 months. That is the minimum.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's the minimum.
Okay.
So as we speak, we are already developing things way ahead into next year already.
Roadmap and so forth.
Yes, correct.
Right. Okay.
Correct.
My next question, what are the 3 tips you have for coffee drinkers at home who would like to level up their game? What would you say are 3 easy tips for them to kind of up their coffee game?
Okay, I love this. This is really the bread and butter of what I do, because coffee is, a lot of what coffee is today is because somebody has paved the way in giving out that knowledge and giving out that understanding of what coffee is. So we start with something as simple as sensory. I think sensory is a very important aspect. And this particular model that I'm going to be sharing with you can be applied not just to coffee, but into any form of beverage as well. Okay. So it's 5 steps. Again, simplified, right? The first one, when you're having something, drinking something, or eating something, what's the first thing you do?
You look with your eyes.
You look with your eyes.
Yeah.
That's your first sensory to see whether it's pleasant or not.
Yeah.
So, but then after that, what's the first thing that hits you?
Aroma.
The aroma. So you will want to evaluate the product with a certain, what are the aromas that you get?
Right.
Correct. Second thing would be the body or the mouthfeel. Is this, quick examples would be the different types of milk that's within the industry. Low fat is generally more diluted or stale. And then whipped cream, for example, is very rich. Correct? So describing the beverage or describing the coffee that you're having as what type of body. Is it strong or is it weak?
Right.
Yeah. The next thing, the acidity. For those of you who don't know what acidity is, basically how bright a beverage can be. Good examples would be pineapple has acidity, lemon has acidity, or for those who don't know, it's sourness. Right? Different type of sourness. So defining the acidity, is this like an apple kind of acidity?
Okay.
Or is this like a lemon kind of acidity?
Right.
Yeah. Then after that, you would then say flavors.
Right.
Correct. So I'm sure you have tasted numerous types of coffees, foods, and whatnot. Coffee actually has all this different kind of characteristics, like even like durian,
Durian?
Yeah, so durian, there are particular durians that are more bittersweet.
Yeah.
Then are particular durians that are more creamy. Yeah. Same thing like coffee.
Right.
Those flavors.
I see.
Yeah. Then finally would be, after you have finished your cup of coffee, after you've taken your gulp, you swallow. One of the known things about coffee is the aftertaste.
Yeah.
So does it linger? How long does it linger?
Right.
So now you see, if you've combined this 5 and you put it into a sentence or a paragraph, you have now successfully become a beginner level coffee snob.
Okay. So I have a question with specifically baristas in mind. For those looking to following your footsteps and join the Malaysian Brewers Cup, the competition, what kind of tips can you give them for those looking to better themselves or just enter the competition in general? Until
now, I would say the most underlying word that can describe this entire experience is curiosity. Yeah, be very curious and be very intentional with your curiosity. Always ask or keep asking questions. That really is what drives growth. So if let's say you're a barista and, for example, you really want to join the Brewers Cup, so then you start developing questions behind that. What is Brewers Cup? How do you win? What makes a good coffee? Then you start breaking down every single thing. And if you have come to a point where Google or ChatGPT can't answer your questions, find an expert. The experts are all out there, So it's a matter of whether you are brave enough or courageous enough to ask these questions and just reach out to them. Hey, what makes a good cup of coffee? Then you start compiling your own kind of Wikipedia in your head to what forms a good coffee. And then you test it out. Go to the competitions. Honestly, I didn't win. I didn't even go in the finals for many of my first competitions. And the differentiation of what brought me to where I am is, okay, I ask myself again, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? What is good and what is bad? So really the person that makes that difference is the person that asks the most questions and solves these questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Just now you were talking a little bit about your morning routine, your coffee morning routine, and that got me thinking, what kind of coffee place do you normally hang out at? Is it a coffee shop for you, a kopitiam, or is it an artisanal coffee maker? I don't know. Tell me.
Maybe because now with the amount of experience and knowledge that I have with coffee, I would say I'm very selective at my coffee places now. So my favorite place, dear friend, mentor, is Afloat Coffee in Bukit Jalil. Very small second floor cafe, probably one of the best coffees in Malaysia. Then there are a couple more of these friends as well. I mean, the coffee industry in Malaysia is really small. Very, very tight-knitted, and it's super fun. So wherever we go to, there is always, we kind of know within that particular state or within that particular region, there is this one person that really knows what they're doing, and these are the places that I would go to.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I would have my own filter of how I search all these places because it's really not that hard. For example, all the competitions, right? You go up to a competition, you find who is the national champion of that particular competition.
Right.
Where is this cafe? Okay, let's go there.
Oh, yeah.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah.
It's the same logic like a Michelin. That is how I do it. So then I have a higher tendency of having good coffee.
What do you think are some of the best cities in the world to get coffee in?
I think it depends on what your definition of best coffee is. Yeah. Is best coffee associated with quality? Or is best coffee associated with price?
Right.
Or is best coffee associated with taste?
Right.
I would say a place like my recent visit. Let me think. Now that I've gone to so many countries and have experienced the different cultures.
Within the region?
Within the region, you'll be very surprised. Okay, off the bat, our neighbor, Singapore, doing very, very well.
Okay.
Very, very well. Precisely because they have the spending power and they are small enough and they're saturated. So almost everywhere you go, very good coffee. On top of that list, Australia is definitely one of it. Australia does have that offering, very widely available. But I would actually give a lot of props to countries like Korea, Taiwan, and in my recent list is actually China. They would probably be the market movers in the next 5 to 10 years.
Because of volume?
Because of pure volume and because of the spending power, it's a pretty impressive country. In my opinion, right now, I can tell you where the best farms are in the world. Yeah, where the best quality coffee is. But how many people can afford the best quality coffee?
Exactly.
So if the country is able to give quality coffee consistently to all the people, and everybody is enjoying it, at the foundational level. I think that's where the best coffee quality is.
All right. So my next question is, what are your 3 favorite ways to enjoy coffee?
I mentioned earlier, so if time is not an issue, the first and most immediate way is a classic pour-over coffee.
Okay.
I love my pour-over. I mean, that's what Brewer's Cup is about anyway. Yeah, selecting my own beans, that whole process. Second, most direct, most straightforward way, the classic Americano.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though it sounds so basic, there are actually a lot of layers and elements to make it. If you want a black coffee, you don't want it to be particularly too sour. You want it to be more sweet. So I would choose an option between a Colombian or a Brazilian kind of coffee where there's not so much fruitiness to it. But if I wanted ice, I would choose a Kenyan.
You see.
So you get how this works. It really is, if you're having, it's like food, right? Yeah. If this food is better served hot, you serve it this way.
Yeah.
If it's cold, you better you serve it with this particular ingredients. And also, I think something that a lot of people oversee or mislook is that the functionality of it. How fast do you need your caffeine?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't gulp the whole thing if it's hot.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
but if it's ice,
Yeah.
boom, go.
Yeah,
Next
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So, funny fact is that in Korea, despite any of its 4 seasons, ice Americano is the biggest thing.
Oh.
Yeah, everywhere. Everybody is holding an ice Americano, even in the winter.
What?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, it's just, it has gone beyond a novelty. It's just pure function.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that is my second way, and third is actually one of the more luxurious ways I can select my beans. I can pull it as an espresso, and I'll have a very nice ristretto latte.
Random question, but I thought it'd be really interesting to know who's your most famous person you've ever served coffee to, and how do they take their coffee?
I have served a number of personalities before. I have no political inclinations, but yes, along those lines.
I see.
Yeah.
Someone in high position office.
Very, very high position. In fact, what was funny is that because he was coming so often to the cafe that I was in, and I would find out about things before it even hit the news.
I see.
Yeah, and then he would just share, and I found that as one of the more personal connections that I have.
Yeah, cool.
He's not the most high profile, but definitely up there. So, which I personally felt it was something unique. I probably served a lot of more famous people.
Okay.
But that particular experience was one of my more memorable ones. Yeah, because it just so happened where I was serving my coffee is near to where he stays.
I see.
So he comes by very often. It's completely unplanned, and then he just so happened finds this cafe, comes, finds it comfortable, and then from then on, yeah.
What's his go-to coffee? Just a normal long black, or
Yes, it is a normal Americano. Yeah.
Okay. So those questions were really designed to just get to know what kind of coffee lover you are, Terrence. But yeah, I want to really dig into the meat and gravy of the episode today. I want to know if we're a coffee nation now, so to speak. So let me explain a little bit. So, Malaysia has long been considered predominantly a tea nation. And I believe that's been shifting a little bit in the past 10 to 15 years, with the whole generation of people going to Australia, falling in love with the coffee culture and cafe culture over there and coming back, myself included. And, we've bring this love of coffee back with us. There's a significant jump in appreciation and consumption in coffee. I feel, just a hunch, that it's equalizing with tea now a little bit. When I was doing research for the show, it really kind of drove home how much we consume coffee now, when I found out that just in 2024 alone, Malaysians spent over 4.3 billion ringgit in coffee consumption. So which begs me to the question, are we a coffee nation now? What's your take on all this as a big player in the industry?
I don't think we are completely a coffee nation, precisely because tea will always have its market, correct? Not everybody drinks coffee. Neither would I say that coffee has suddenly developed. Definitely in the last maybe 5 to 10 years, coffee has really picked up in terms of trajectory. Mm-hmm. But if you look at it, we have probably been consuming coffee as a nation even as early as the Independence Day. Yeah. Since Malaysia's independence, we have always been consuming coffee. You have to understand why it has only gained traction recently is because it's made more available. Understand? So previously, the coffee culture is only exclusive to the upper echelons of society.
Right.
As we progress through the different waves of coffee, right now we are in what we call the 5th wave of coffee.
Okay.
Yeah. So where high quality coffee is able to meet with scale. Yeah, the scale of widening up things. So that's why I wouldn't say we have completely 100% become a coffee consuming country, but there will always be people that enjoy tea. And it's also because of the unique demographics here in Malaysia, where we have 3 races, 3 very strong races, the Malays, Chinese, the Indians. Everybody likes something different. So you can never replace their go-to teh tarik. Yeah, there will never be a replacement for that. And there shouldn't be. Yeah. Because that's our culture. But I would say coffee will eventually reach a point where it won't be considered a luxury. It will be considered an option that is on the table that is made available for everybody. Yes. And it should be high quality coffee and not off the shelves kind of instant coffee quality. But everybody should be able to get high quality coffee. Doesn't have to be Zeus. It can be the industry as a whole. Wherever you go, you don't have to say, hey, I know there's a Zeus there.
Right.
I can trust there's good coffee there. It can be as in the streets, there's another cafe. Good example. I think this is a very... You've been to Australia. You've studied there. It's exactly what Australia is. Wherever you go to, there is a small cafe. Yeah. So when Malaysia hits that, then you could probably say we are a stronger coffee nation by then.
Yeah, fair enough. Terence, earlier you mentioned that coffee is now a commodity and not a luxury anymore. It's really important, and that signifies that it's really important to us Malaysians. How would you describe the importance of coffee to us now in 2025 as a country compared to 10, 20 years ago?
Yeah, definitely. Precisely because the entire approach to coffee now has changed. There is more, in a way, innovation to how coffee is being presented. So maybe in the second and third wave of coffee, it's not just, brewing in those batch brewers, those big, let's just pour in coffee beans, pour hot water over it. That's coffee. That's what a lot of local coffee houses are serving. But it has graduated to a point where coffee can be approached in so many different ways. It can be an ice blended, it can be ice, it can be hot, it can be refreshing, it can be creamy. So there is just so many angles to how coffee can be appreciated, and it's just a matter of finding one that's suitable for you. So if let's say today you say that you are not a coffee drinker. Okay. And then I would then ask you, what do you drink? Okay. So then you tell me, normally I don't even drink tea.
Right.
So then it's just coffee, tea. What other beverages are there to play around then? Okay, so if it's not coffee or tea, then what do you drink? Do you drink a lemonade?
Yeah.
Do you like a lemonade?
Yeah.
Or do you like chocolate? Do you like chocolate?
Hot chocolate or iced chocolate or whatever.
Okay, then allow me to craft a coffee beverage with elements of chocolate that you might be able to accept. So it's a matter. I look at it like color pencils.
Yeah.
You have foundational color, but then how do you want to mix this color together with other colors?
That's a really cool way of looking at it.
That is where Malaysia is going to hit to. I believe that's where the rest of the world is going to hit to as well. And how people appreciate coffee is going to be very...
Terence, as someone at the forefront of the coffee industry, can you tell us what the Malaysian coffee culture scene is like today? How are we as a coffee nation?
I'll always put it into two perspectives, precisely because I sit in this unique position where I represent Zeus as well. And then at the same time, I'm very, very involved in what we call the specialty side of coffee.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is always driving innovation within the industry is always the specialty side of things. They are trying to bring out the best of coffee. They're trying to push up the levels of coffee. That is the specialty side of things. On the other hand, the commercial side of things is how do you make the coffee business work? For instance, drawing a few big brands, for example, like Nestle, with their Nescafe and whatnot. That is considered a commercial aspect of coffee. But have you realized that they have never innovated much from their product? So those are certain examples of commercialization. So I would say right now, where Malaysia is very unique because where we are on the map from times before, like when the foundations of Malaysia, Malacca.
Okay.
If you know, Malaysia is one of the biggest or heavily trafficked ports in the world.
Shipping ports,
shipping ports in the world. And it's precisely because of where we are, it makes it easy to access a lot of high quality coffee beans because they have to pass through. They have to pass through.
Obviously, some gets traded in the port.
Yes. So you'll be very surprised that some of the world's best coffee can be found in Malaysia. Yeah, it's just that you don't know where they are.
Because they're specialty coffee places?
Yes, correct. You just need to kind of look out.
Okay.
So if putting that into context, right, it means that Malaysia is heading to a direction where this kind of coffee is already available here. Very soon it's going to be more and more available. So on the specialty side of things, it's getting more and more accessible. Then on the commercial side of things, there's Zus Coffee and a few other players within the market that is filling up that gap, that is eventually trying to close up that gap of specialty and commercial. I believe when we finally close these two gaps, that's when Malaysia becomes a proper coffee nation.
Okay,
yeah.
So Terence, earlier you were mentioning how Singapore and Thailand has a thriving coffee scene, And you also touched on a little bit about how some of the best coffees in the world actually comes to Malaysia because of our ports. I'd like to know how we, as a coffee culture, kind of fare in comparison between Singapore and Thailand and other Southeast Asian nations.
I would say I don't see us surpassing them anytime soon. Actually, for very key economical reasons. Number one, Malaysia is a tea planting country. Yeah, that's the first and biggest example. Most of the highlands have been used for tea. So it's the same kind of highlands that need to be used for coffee. And on a same economical standpoint, the harvest for tea is a lot more than coffee. So you use the same plot of land, you can harvest more tea than you can harvest coffee. So it just makes sense.
The yield is better.
Correct. So that's one. Then on the second perspective is that Thailand and Singapore, needless to say, purchasing power.
Yeah.
Thailand, population. And then because they are also a coffee planting country, so it just makes more sense for them to be ahead of us.
I see.
Yes.
Right.
So I don't think we will ever be ahead because we just don't have the same purchasing power or the same agricultural strengths. Right. But what we can have could be something similar to Singapore, where we will have our economy improves. Purchasing power is better. We will have more options than probably our neighbors. Yeah.
Do we actually grow coffee in our own country? And if so, do you know if there are a lot of farms?
Okay, so a more general answer would be, the equator line?
Yeah.
So for most of you who don't know, coffee can only be planted on the equator line.
Oh.
Yes, only on the equator. It cannot be on the northern or the southern hemisphere. It only can be planted on the equator line. So anything that falls on the equator line is able to plant coffee. But to get very good coffee, there needs to be a certain elevation above sea level. Correct. So like what I just mentioned, most of these elevations have already been taken up by tea. We do have plantations. You have to understand, in the same unit of economics, it's harder to get. Fun fact, if I were ever a farmer, I won't plant coffee, I won't plant tea. You know what's surprisingly profitable?
What?
Chili padi.
Chili padi?
Chili padi.
Interesting.
You go study that up again.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you and your partners decided to start Zeus back in 2019, why did you guys decide to go into such a crowded space?
So, like what I just mentioned, right? So, personally, I've traveled to a number of countries. I have observed what coffee can be in countries like Korea, Taiwan, Australia. And I think the basis of it were two key factors. Number one, why can't I get good coffee at a cheaper price? That was really the first number one question. And then because that was what I was enjoying in all the different countries, correct? And subsequently, coming as a barista, I know of baristas in all these different countries getting treated professionally. It's respected as a career in these countries. But here in Malaysia, it seems there is not that same respect.
See.
Yeah. And I felt that this is something that could really be changed. So it really is a chicken and egg kind of scenario. So we started purely, we want to treat our baristas fairly and we want them to have a professional career with us. And then secondly, we want to serve good quality coffee at an affordable price. So it wasn't very centric to the crowded space. It was what we perceived as a potential problem that could be solved.
See.
And before we know it, it seemed that this problem is a lot bigger than what we expected. And there was an avenue for us to grow. Also, one of the most key elements into this model is also technology. We feel that a lot of F&B businesses, particularly in Malaysia then, 5 years ago, weren't very tech-equipped. We saw how the different countries were progressing with tech, Japan being a key example. So why is this not being incorporated into Malaysia? Another element of it is delivery. So we were very, very fortunate and blessed to be on the forefront of being a coffee chain that focused heavily in delivery. It wasn't something that was widely practiced then. Like during that period of time, it was third-party apps. Nobody has done their own app to fulfill their own delivery. So we felt that, I think these are complementary portions. So on my end, I fulfilled the barista product kind of perspective. My partners came in to fulfill the more tech-savvy approaches. And that was really what became the sweet spot of what Zeus Coffee is today and still is.
Everything we kind of been talking today about how coffee is improving in terms of accessibility and how Zeus's motto is coffee shouldn't be a luxury, it should be a necessity. I remember walking past one of your outlets that was, I think, work in progress or coming up or soon to be opened, and that motto really struck me, and I was like, wow, I never thought about it like that because I think we're used to paying a lot for coffee, about 10, 11, $12 for just a cup of black coffee. And I mean, that's really expensive if you think about it. If you have a cup of coffee every day for a week, that's like 70 something ringgit. And, it's relatively affordable, I guess, more affordable to buy your own beans and grind them and brew them at home. But yeah, I never thought about it that way. For that price point, it felt like coffee was a luxury. How do you guys come up with the model? Was that something, a core principle you and your founders shared at the beginning? Yeah, what's that like?
I would say it was a lot of back and forth. I came from a very traditional kind of business model where there must be certain margins that are onto the cup of coffee. So I believe that quality and price should go a certain way. But it was actually my partners that came up to me. It's like, no, then we should price it this way. I'm like, we're not going to make money.
Right.
It's not going to make commercial sense. But then they said, if we want to change the way people consume, we want to change the way the industry responds, we have to change our approach. So that's why none of us expect it to be what it is today, because it really was a courageous, also because many people don't know, but in the early days of Zeus, probably in the first half year to a year, it was a constant struggle to where all our weekly meetings, our monthly meetings were, can we survive? Can we make it into the next month? Can we make it for the next 3 months? And then how many cups do we need to sell today just to make that number? So it was a lot of that. And I think a lot of businesses don't even dare to do that. So that's why it is able to develop to what it is today. Yeah.
When I was writing the script for the show, I think one of the biggest questions I wanted to ask you was the idea behind the logo and name of the company. I guess I keep hearing different origin stories, or so you would say, from different sources, and I wasn't sure which source was right, and who better to ask than one of the co-founders. Am I right?
Okay, so the colors is very simple. Blue, because blue symbolizes trust. For those of you who study color psychology, blue is trust, blue is confidence, white is transparency, and then we have hints of gold in our outlet because it means premium, which basically supports the entire a necessity, not a luxury. That's one. Then for the brand symbol, many people think it is a certain figure,
right?
But actually our figure is derived from the founder of coffee, the supposed mythological founder
urban
of coffee.
Legend.
Urban legend, all the way in Ethiopia, was a sheep herder. So it was a sheep herder where he noticed his goats or sheep were eating a particular cherry and they were getting caffeinated. I mean, there was no definition for caffeine then, but they were just more active. And he went and consumed these berries. And later on, he went and roast them, like just cook them over the fire, and then made a liquid from it. And that was really how coffee came about. So in a way, it's a homage to the founder of coffee. Then as for the name, it's so simple. It's funny because ZUS.
Okay.
The Z stands for zeal.
Zeal, okay.
Zeal as in ZEAL, zeal. And US is not anything else but us.
Oh, so it's an acronym. Oh, I didn't know that.
Passion with us through coffee.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, undisputable truth. You heard it from the co-founder's mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that. I didn't even know it was an acronym.
Yeah.
So earlier you were talking about how Zeus likes to incorporate Malaysian elements into your, whether it's your drinks menu or your drinks as a whole. Following that note, what would you say is some of the Malaysian values that Zeus exemplifies?
If you boil down our product, a lot of our key products, Spanish latte, I just described it to you, and in our more recent launches, I think on a product standpoint, we have always respected that we need to incorporate Malaysian kind of spirits into it. So the recent one is Chum. So the Chum series that is currently in our outlets, it is an exemplification of what is normally found in local kopitiams or local coffee houses of what people think is a staple.
Yeah.
So in a way, reimagine it into something more modern, something more innovative. And that is really what Chum is about. And if you look into our product line, we are always trying to incorporate elements of why we are proudly Malaysian. For instance, one of our best-selling products is actually the nasi lemak. But yeah, nasi lemak and, for example, even the curry puff.
Oh.
Yeah. So you wouldn't expect other brands to have that kind of...
Really, yeah.
Of like, hey, I want to sell nasi lemak in my cafe. But that is some of the elements that we have taken to approach. No matter how big we are, no matter how successful we are, this is our roots. This is what makes Malaysia Malaysia.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
So tell me, so what are some of the best top-selling coffees that Zeus sells? I want to know what Malaysians like to drink.
Okay, so top was what I mentioned earlier, the
Spanish
latte. Then what used to be the top, but I think maybe because Malaysians are more health conscious now, was one of the first things that we made was Zus Gula Melaka. The Zeus Gula Melaka, that was really what brought us that fame as well. It's like nobody has actually taken a Malaysian ingredient and scaled it up that much or used it that heavily. So that was really one of our proudest products. It's still there. And then we boil it down. We have the CEO latte. Yeah, so that is just our approach to how we think coffee should be served.
Okay.
Yeah, and if there is no specialty cafes around you, we recommend the CEO latte. Yeah, so that was what we delivered.
I'm surprised to hear like Long Black isn't on top of the list as bestsellers.
No,
really?
No.
That's my go-to coffee.
No. But it's always there. It's always there.
Yeah.
It's a always there kind of number, but it's not the kind that it doesn't sit on top.
I see.
Yeah,
I see. Surprising.
Yeah. Well, because I think there's still a stigma towards black coffee being bitter, being unapproachable.
Right.
But primarily from the older coffee drinkers. Yeah, they see black. They would need to have it with some form of creamer or sugar.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it becomes an easier option for them to choose something like a Spanish latte or a CEO latte where it's already milked or flavored. So that explains why this too sits where it is today.
Okay.
But if one day Americano hits the top of the board, I'll be happy.
Let me know, please. Okay. Yeah. In these challenging economic times, how has the coffee industry and F&B industry been impacted, in your opinion?
I think this is really a time where the foundational principles of a company is really shown. It's really in tough times where what you stand for is really put to test. And I think where Zeus is today is we have always placed our other people's interests first, which is number one, our customers, then subsequently our baristas. And having that foundational principle set in stone made it a lot easier or a lot more comfortable for us to navigate this situation, because like it's in our tagline, right? A necessity, not a luxury. So being affordably priced and also serving good quality coffee, and at the same time remunerating our baristas fairly has created an environment where there doesn't seem to be much that you can... It becomes a choice for consumers that is easy to choose us.
I see.
Yeah, because we are fair, we are ethical.
Thanks for sharing. I actually have a question that about a certain coffee trend that I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called a nappuccino.
Nappuccino.
Have you ever heard of that?
No,
okay,
I haven't.
Okay, so I was researching and I came across it and I thought to myself, what the heck is a nappuccino? Okay, so it's a scientifically backed thing where it involves napping and coffee, and it's kind of like a 5-step program you got to do, and then you will wake up from this nap feeling super energized. Okay, so the 5 processes or tips to always getting the perfect nap according to this nappuccino technique is to, number 1, find your afternoon low point, just kind of to when you want to take a nap. Number 2 is to create a peaceful environment. And then what you want to do is you want to down a cup of coffee. That caffeine takes about 25 minutes to engage in our bloodstream, so you got to drink it 25 minutes before you want to take a nap. Then you set a timer for about 25 minutes. Apparently naps between 10 to 20 minutes kind of boost alertness and mental function. And then the last step is to repeat consistently. What do you think of it, man? Would you give it a try?
You know what is funny? I'm very careful with my caffeine intake. I think it comes with age.
Yeah.
I used to be able to take way more and still sleep through it. But now, as of recent, caffeine does have an impact onto my sleep cycles. So now, funny that you should point it out in that way. I don't think it was a nap that I did. It was actually one of the sleeps that I had. So during the daytime, I'll be doing Zeus work, coffee all the way. And then sometimes stretching out into the night, I would have to drink more coffee because of the friends I have in the industry. So it's like, during work day, okay, finish the coffee already. Yeah. Then it's like, hey, Terrence, you have time to come over now. Then I'm like, dude, guys, no, not now. But still, you have to go.
Yeah.
So I go for this kind of things. I'm drinking pour-over coffees at like 10, 11 o'clock. And here I'm just cursing myself. I'm like, why do you do it again? Why? You're not going to be able to sleep through this.
Yeah.
What's funny is that I did sleep through it and then I woke up refreshed.
Wow. So maybe there is some truth behind this nappuccino.
There is some science to it that actually works. Funny that you should bring it up because I was puzzled the next day. I was like, I feel great.
Against logical convention, right?
Yeah, I feel great. I feel refreshed. I'm ready and I'm hoping to replicate that more.
Okay, so I'm going to share this 5-step nappuccino program with you. You try it out and you let me know if it works or not. That's actually all the questions I have for you, Terrence, but I actually have a little game prepared for you. I hope you don't mind indulge me, just 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
I thought, coffee expert, I have a bunch of coffee myths that I want debunked and you can help me debunk them.
Okay.
Sounds easy enough?
Okay.
And the first myth is really that the decaffeinated coffee doesn't actually contain any caffeine at all.
Fiction.
So there is caffeine in it.
There is caffeine. There is very minimal amount of caffeine, but there is still caffeine.
Is it negligible though?
It is to a certain, but it depends on a person's metabolism as well.
Right.
So vary from people to people. Some people still cannot sleep when there is a decaf coffee.
Yeah.
It's just that the tolerance is a lot.
Okay, thanks for debunking that. Yeah, a lot of people say, I can drink decaf coffee, it's fine, I can sleep, but yeah, thanks for debunking that. So second one, drinking coffee can stain your teeth.
Right.
What do you do to keep the stains away?
You have a rigorous teeth hygiene, dental hygiene practice.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Occupational hazard, I suppose?
It is. I think that's one of the things that when I was younger, my mom also would be like, don't drink so much coffee, it's going to stain your teeth. Yeah, it's true, it does. But you want me to be honest, it's not just coffee. Tea does it too.
Yeah.
Any form of beverage that has color, in any form, except water, right?
Right.
Would stain your teeth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for everyone who loves drinking coffee every day to keep the stains away?
Actually, it's really off the counter kind of solutions. Like as simple as picking charcoal.
Oh, okay. That's the element that helps.
Correct, yeah.
Great tip.
So that absorption, it does help.
Charcoal toothpaste. Okay, thanks for sharing. The next one. Drinking coffee can help you lose weight.
That is true.
Fact.
That is true.
Oh.
That is true. Coffee fulfills two things. I've known of this French guy, one of my old customers. He would have one coffee a day, one meal a day. Yeah, actually 2 coffees a day. And coffee helps you suppress your hunger. Yeah, black coffee.
Black coffee
helps you suppress your hunger, and that actually helps you lose a bit of weight.
Consuming less calories.
Correct. And also, coffee increases metabolism, so it works on these two ends.
Great.
Yes.
Great to know. Okay, the next one. Coffee can stunt your growth.
I always pride myself as being somebody that has that's very logical, rational, and scientific. So I'm trying to think of what are the scientific aspects of coffee that might possibly contribute to that. I don't think there is any.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any.
You're pretty tall, Terrence. What age did you start drinking coffee?
Young.
So you debunked it by just being you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Next one. Coffee dehydrates you.
Fact.
Okay.
Fact.
How do you keep hydrated, Terrence?
I drink a lot of water.
A lot of water?
I drink a lot of water. On average, I think I consume, maybe because of my height as well, I drink about 4 liters of water a day.
Okay.
Yeah. Start off the day with a liter. Before I sleep, a liter.
Wow.
And in between, 2 liters. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Coffee causes insomnia.
I want to say fiction, but it's quite fact now that it has come with age. But no, I think it's the properties of caffeine.
Yeah.
So caffeine, but if you manage your caffeine well, it's fine.
Coffee can help you sober up. Now you're thinking back on all the times when you're hungover.
Neither admit or
Okay.
but that's it. Let me think.
I'm on a camp that it maybe kind of. Maybe it's placebo and maybe because it's bitter and it kind of jolts your senses up. But it's also, like you said, it dehydrates you. If you drink both dehydrating things, yeah.
Technically, it should make you feel worse.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I don't think I've ever consumed coffee in that state.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would consume a lot of water.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so
maybe
maintain a myth.
Maybe fiction, yeah. Okay. The next one is dark roast coffee contains more caffeine than light roast.
What do you think?
Is this kind of like a trick question and everything's the same?
Okay. So this is something that when I first started in the industry, it was very, very argued upon by consumers, not by coffee professions. Coffee professionals already know the answer. Think about, again, food. Food is the easiest way to go about this, right? The more you cook a food, the more it loses its original properties. Fact, all right? Caffeine comes from the coffee fruit. It is the bean. So if you apply heat onto the bean, you start to degrade more of the caffeine.
I see.
So the more you dark roast a coffee, the less caffeine is in the bean.
It's opposite.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, think about it this way. If you and this is very funny. I love to always put it this way. You burn your bean so much until it becomes ash. Is there any caffeine in it?
Yeah, well, it's gone.
So which one would have more caffeine? A completely raw bean or ash?
Okay. Makes sense now that you mentioned it. Yeah. So light roast is actually more caffeine.
Correct. I believe there is a sweet spot to coffee, and I still believe that coffee, because coffee in essence is it comes from a fruit.
Yeah.
Fruits are not supposed to be bitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Right.
It just so happens that coffee carries very strong aromatics as it's being roasted. Yeah. So it's a preference kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have two more. Next one is pregnant women should completely avoid coffee.
Damn it, I would.
Pregnant ladies are probably hoping it's a myth right now.
Scientifically, it's fact.
Oh, I see.
Scientifically, it's fact, but at the same time, there hasn't been enough research and study to prove that it negatively impacts the baby.
I see.
Yes.
It's just like a precaution.
It is a precaution because I think scientists or researchers have not been able to track enough pregnant women drinking coffee.
I see.
That's number one. And across how many years has it stunted the baby's growth?
Right.
But what they have actually proven is that caffeine within the mother's bloodstream actually does increase the baby's heart rate.
Right. Just like how it would for us.
Correct. It just increases the heart rate, but is that good or is that bad? So that is the argument.
I see.
So I just tell I'm a barista, I have to do it anyway, right? So I tell my pregnant mother friends, just drink lah.
Okay.
Just drink lah. But at the same time, science.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe choose a dark roast now that we know.
Actually, makes
less
perfect
caffeine.
sense.
Yeah. Unless they want to drink decaf, and let's be real, no one wants to drink decaf.
You'll be surprised. Tea has some teas have higher caffeine than coffee because you don't roast tea.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Adding milk to your coffee reduces its health benefits.
Yes and no. Of course, the healthiest form, it really is black because there is no degradative properties to it.
Right.
It's coffee in its purest form. But when you add milk, because milk, why it does kind of lower down, it's because the milk contains sugar. Not the sugar that we know of, not glucose, so to say, but lactose. Lactose is a form of sugar that goes into your body, and it's also taken in high quantities. It's not good. So, but black is not detrimental. Yeah. In fact, studies have shown that black is one of the healthiest. This is one of the healthiest beverage that you can consume.
Right. I heard. Just consuming coffee in its purest form, like a black coffee. It has benefits to the heart, the brain, anti-cancerous.
Correct. But the addition of milk, because it's sugar, right? So it's really that sugar element that...
Even if it's soy milk?
In fact, I will discourage any form of... People might kill me for this, but because I do enjoy alt milks as well, all sort of alternative milks, but be very cautious with alternative milk, because from what I've learned across the time that I've explored coffee, is that a lot of these alternative milks, they need a derivative that complements fat.
Okay.
That is commonly found in animal. So be very cautious what is the derivative that is placed into all these alternative milks.
I see.
They might not be healthy. Yeah. Tip again. These are like health hacks, right?
I love this. I'm gonna compile it all.
go onto your supermarket shelf.
Yeah.
Scan across from the cheapest type of oil to the most expensive type of oil. There is a reason why they are expensive and why they are cheap. And then if you are able to find this cheaper type of oil in your alternative milk, there's a very high chance.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Terrence, that's all the questions I have. Thank you, Terrence, for coming and taking the time to come.
Thank you.
And on that note, we're going to bring this episode to an end. I'm Tian, and thanks for tuning in to Chew on This, where I'll always be bringing you in on a crowd.